Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Flintlock. I'm going to do a video today on how to disassemble and reassemble a lock from a Flintlock muzzleloader. So, I'm hoping to reach out to people that are kind of new to the sport, maybe unsure of how they need to clean and maintain their lock. And so I'm just going to do a tear down here. I'm going to clean some of the things off camera just to save on time, and then I'll bring it all back together and we're going to reassemble. So let's take a look here in camera too, and I'll show you some of the things that we're going to need. So I have my lock, I have a screwdriver, and you'll need one of two things: either some pliers with a locking grip or locking jaw, or a mainspring vise. I highly recommend a mainspring vise for the safety of your mainspring. Pliers put too much load at one point, and I'll show you that when we go to it. But in the event you don't have one, I want to show you how it can be done with a set of pliers. So this lock I've been shooting for a couple years, and it has no finish on it. It's just the natural patina from using it and shooting it. It's kind of the off season now, and it's just a little bit dirty and dingy inside, so I want to get it cleaned up. So I thought this would be a great one to use. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it into half cock and remove the flint, and then just set the flint aside. That'll be the last thing that goes back in it. So after this, now that we're in half cock, we can remove the mainspring. This long spring here is the mainspring. So with a mainspring vise, this one has a rotating head and body. So I'm just going to get it set here and just put a little bit of tension on it. Now I don't like to crank on the spring with the vise. What I do is I just lower, let me do it here so the camera can show you. I just lower the hammer and then pull it away, and that's all there is to it. So this supports the ends of the spring and doesn't put a lot of strain in the middle of the spring. So let me show you how you can do this with so to put it back in would just be the reverse. You set it back in place, whoops, set it back in place here, and then just bring it to half cock and just little quarter turn there, and it loosens right up and you're set. So it's going to be the same thing. With it in half cock, you're going to take your locking pliers and you're just holding it. You're not actually squeezing it. So I'm just going to tighten the tension down on the jaws so that it's holding it, and then again, let me do it so the camera can see it, and then I'm just going to lower the hammer. So there it is. Now it's not ideal. I would definitely recommend investing in a mainspring vise, but to put it back in would be the reverse. So just for right now till everything's put back together, I'm going to use the mainspring vise. I just feel like it's a little bit better for the spring, so to speak. So I'm going to get it set, give it just a little bit of tension, lower the hammer again, and remove it. So just that easy. So the next part in the process is we're going to take the sear spring off. So the sear spring just puts some tension on the sear. This is the sear here, this bar and assembly right here that comes down. So we're going to take that spring off and the screw, and we're going to set it off to the side. And what I like to do is when I remove everything, I like to keep all the screws with the part that they held. So in this case, this sear spring, I just set it like that, and then when I clean it, I put it back together and I keep everything organized in that way. The next thing is called the bridle. So the bridle is this, it's a non-moving part, and it just holds 2 screws. So we'll start with the rear screw, and when we pull this rear screw, what's going to happen is the sear is going to fall out. So we're going to set that there, and the sear is going to come out. So again, keeping everything together, and then the other screw for the bridle. And then this is going to lift off of there. So now that the bridle is removed, the most important piece, and easy to lose, so you want to keep your eye out for this, is the fly. So this is the fly. This is what keeps the hammer from slamming into half cock from full cock. This is what allows it to skip over the half cock notch. So definitely don't want to lose that. So we're going to set that down there. So that's everything on the inside for right now. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to remove, start to back off the spring on the hammer. Now if you have a puller, or if you're lucky, the hammer may come right off of the tumbler. So this part here is the tumbler. So if you're lucky, it's going to. What I like to do is just back it off a little bit and give it a good tap with the screwdriver, and got to get a little bit better. So you want to leave as many threads engaged as you can. There we go. I think that took care of it. So now it should come off of there, and then your tumbler will fall out the back side. So the next thing that we can do is address the front of the lock plate. So with the frizzen flip forward, it's now just a matter of removing the frizzen spring. Again, setting that down with the screw. Now this siler is a little bit different. It has a hardened pin as opposed to a threaded bolt. So all I have to do is push and pull this hardened pin out, and the frizzen comes loose. So now that you have everything apart, you're probably thinking, what am I going to do with all these parts? So the easiest thing is just to wash them, wash the oils and everything off them with any solvent, you know, anything that's safe. The most important, you can use soap and water. The most important thing is to keep everything dry and oiled. So I'm going to do this work off camera, but I'm going to get all the components cleaned, and if needed, I'll take a buffing wheel on a Dremel and just clean them up. But when we get to the assembly process, I'll explain some of the parts to look for and places to oil and things like that. So that's it for the disassembly process. So I encourage you to watch my next video on the reassembly process of the lock. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my website. It's www.jbflintlock.com, or you can comment in the video below. As always, thanks and safe shooting.